Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, who came to us in the persons of Master Farraakhan Muhammad, and I bear witness that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is indeed thine exalted Christ. And I furthermore indeed bear witness that the Honorable Minister Farrakhan is our big brother, warner, friend, leader, and guide. I greet you all in the nation, greeted words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum. On behalf of Brother Albert Muhammad and the Let Us Make Man family, as always, family, we continuously thank you for your support. We thank you for taking a few moments of your time to watch the videos, read our posts, support our cause, our efforts in the plight of the Black community. This afternoon, family, we want to start or begin our short two-part series. And I say short, I mean short. In reference to the secret relationship between blacks and Jews, right? Why was it a secret? Huh? And does or do the Honorable Minister Farrakhan and the Jewish people, do the Honorable Minister Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam really hate Jewish people? We're going to deal with this. The first part of this series is going to be a little historical touching base in our book produced by the Nation of Islam, titled, again, The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. This is the book that we're going to bring before you in defending our nation and our minister, dealing with actual facts. Bottom line. See? Why is it that there's only a few members of the Jewish community that feel this way and not the whole of the Jewish community? During the beginning of our short period mini-series, we will show you beyond a shadow of a doubt. And we're going to go right into our book, or the book that was produced by the Nation of Islam, titled The Secret Relationships Between Blacks and Jews, Volume 1. Now, listen to this real clearly. Blacks and Jews have recently begun to question their relationship and its strategic role in their individual development. This report is an examination of documented historical events and is intended to provide an historical perspective for intellectual debate of this crucial social matter. Right? This book here was produced by the Latimer Association in 1991. 1991, Volume 1 was produced. Right? So if you go from 1991 to 2019, you're talking 28 years since Volume 1, produced by the Nation of Islam, of the secret relationships or relationship between blacks and Jews. So 28 years And yet no one from the Jewish community or any other community have stepped up to dispute the actual facts in this document composed by the Nation of Islam Historical Research Department. Huh? They got the world assuming that Farrakhan hates Jews. There's something interesting about the elite Jews, the ones that have the power and the influence. But by the time we're done with this two-part session, you will have a general idea of why it is a secret. Why the Jews don't want you to really know. We're not talking about the mere Jew, the little struggling, striving Jew like you and I. We're talking about the ones with the power and the influence. The ones that's able to manipulate worlds of people. That Jew is what we're talking about. This ain't got nothing to do with racism or bigotry or hate, anything of that nature. See, when Jesus spoke against those at his time, he was labeled all sorts of things under the sun, but what he really represented, that was truth. And he was disliked. So it's simple to understand how whenever you stand up and speak truth to power, you automatically be labeled the enemy. 85% of the masses of the people of any government has to be illiterate or ignorant. This is how they are able to run worlds and governments. It's almost virtually impossible to run a government when 100% of the people is functionally literate. It's impossible. I don't care what government you choose, what nation of people you choose. You make the choice. But we want to know why was or is such a secret the relationship between blacks and Jews. Let's dig a little bit. Let's dig a little bit into this first part. Jews in the African slave trade. Oh, there they go again with slavery. See, they can't do nothing without slavery. Hell, what other people that suffered such atrocities or worse forget their history outside of us? And as soon as someone brings up our history, many of us defect from it. Because we don't want to face the reality. We under a false impression that things have gotten better. Under what world and whose world? Huh? There's a reason why the powers that be, the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, the JDL, the Jewish Defense League, and organizations of that nature don't want you to listen to Farrakhan. Even black people who don't want to hear it. Because you believe things have gotten better in your mind. See? But the reality is set in stone now. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad didn't have to deal with the Jews the way the minister has to deal with the Jews. Master Farad Muhammad didn't have to deal with the Jews the way the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has to deal with the Jews. They prepared him to take on such a burden. And he wears that burden. He has shouldered that burden to speak truth to power without fear, regardless to the circumstances. Huh? The Jews in African slave trade, throughout the history of the practice, Jews have been involved in the purchase and sale of human beings. Throughout the history of the practice of slavery, the Jews have been involved, right? with the purchasing of human beings. This is why if you haven't got the book, part 1 or part 2, The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, you should invest in it. Inshallah, it'll give you an understanding of why the Honorable Minister Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam is so hated. Malcolm wasn't even hated by the Jews as much as they hate Farrakhan. Malcolm wasn't given the mission that the messenger of Allah gave him, meaning Farrakhan. Malcolm himself told the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, Brother Lewis, I wish it was you, right? Instead of me, meaning standing out front at that time. Y'all know the language. Minister Farrakhan couldn't understand it at the time. And then Malcolm told him, brother, one day my enemy will soon be yours. Quote the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, right? This fact is confirmed, right, by their own scholars. This book, Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, these are not forged documents composed by members of the Nation of Islam Historical Department. These are documents written by their own scholars. Something that you would have never heard about if not for the historical department or the research department, the historical research department of the Nation of Islam. So you wouldn't have even been aware of the information that is in these books that's been out over 28 years. And there's probably many of us in the nation that have not even really read the books to be able to even defend Minister Farrakhan against all odds, against the open enemy. Those who want you to believe that Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam hate Jewish people. That's a lie. But we have the Jews to prove it. So bear with your little brother for a second as we go through this phase here in this beginning. Pardon me, family. As we go through this phase here in the beginning of this mini-series, part 1, right? In this book of history, the Jews, Solomon Grazel, right, states that the Jews were among the most important slave dealers. Solomon Grazel stated that the Jews were among the most important of the slave dealers. Right. Why? Hadn't you been exposed to such information? Why do we deny the reality when it comes to us? Who is Solomon Grazel? Huh? Solomon Grazel, a history of Jews from Babylonian estate. He's a historic, a Jewish historian, a Jewish scholar. He's sharing with us from his level of wisdom the relationship his own people played in the slave trade. They don't want you to know the role that they played between the Spaniards and the Jews, the Spanish Jews that participated while they got you hate European America. You forgot about the Spaniards that began this process of trading slaves. We're going to go there this evening or this afternoon, real briefly. In European, Lady Magnus writes that in the Middle Ages, the principal purchase of slaves were found among the Jews. Lady Magnus writes, in the Middle Ages, the principal purchase of slaves was found among the Jews. What did the Jews see so important in the slaves at the very beginning that they invested in the purchasing of slaves? What did they know that even the Spaniards didn't even know, though they were purchasing them from the Spaniards? Think about it. African men, women, and children uprooted out of their homeland only to be boxed off and purchased like livestock. See, they don't want you to hear Farrakhan. And that's why they label Farrakhan anti-Semitic or an anti-Semite. Well, hell, they do everybody like that. Wait till we get to Henry Ford in part 2 of this little mini series. If you think that was something, the role Henry Ford played in his hatred towards the Jews right here in America. But did they label him an anti-Semite or anti-Semitic, etc.? There's a reason why. We'll get there. Bear with me. Hold on. Because right now what we're doing in this part 1 is we're touching base with the historical facts of the relationship between blacks and Jews, not only in America, all across the world. Before they even got to America, before they even knew what America was about, the Jews played a major role. And once again, if you're listening, these are not our facts. These are not our, how do you say this? Our intentions to land-base or disrespect Jewish people. These are documents from writings of their own scholars. Each one of these books, Secret Relationships Between Blacks and Jews, book 1 and book 2, was sent to almost every president by the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, or whatever president that was in the seat at that point in time, and members of Congress to read for themselves. But you never heard nothing from them about that book because of the power in these books in regards to the relationship that the Jews played in the slave trade. The principal purpose slaves were founded amongst the Jews. They seem to be always and everywhere at hand to buy and to have the means equally ready to pay. Finishing Lady Magna's statement, she said the Jews seem to be everywhere during the slave trade, from the Spaniards to wherever they sold them at. But the Jews was the principal purchaser of the slaves, and they had the means and the well-being to do so. But once again, the Jews knew something more than the Spaniards knew. Those who were actually kidnapping slaves. Got you thinking Christopher Columbus was the founder of America. Wait till we get there. Good God Almighty. See, knowledge is power. The interesting thing about this anti-Semitic thing and all the black people that follow that foolishness, you think if Farrakhan is out of the picture, we're going to fade out in the darkness. I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. The Honorable Minister Farrakhan is and still doing his job, raising the dead, preparing us to defend him even in his absence. And there are many brothers and sisters throughout the nation of Islam that is well equipped mentally, physically, and intelligently to do so. See, You and I know better. For those that do know. And for those that don't know, if you sit and listen for a while, you'll be made well aware of what's really going on and what time it is. Huh? Henry L. Feingold. Henry L. Feingold stated that Jews who were frequently founded at the heart of commerce could not have failed to frequently found could not have failed to contribute to a proportionate share to the slave trade directly. Let me read that again. Henry L. Feingold stated that Jews who were frequently founded at the heart of commerce, right, could not have failed to contribute a proportionate share to the slave trade directly or indirectly. That's how serious the slave trade business was. But that Jew today don't want you to know this. They want you to believe that they are the victims based on the Holocaust, a Holocaust that they contributed to in Germany. There's a whole lot going on that they don't want you to know. And they know that the only ones that got the heart and the testosterone to do so and reveal the truth is the Nation of Islam. So they want to shut us down, separate you from the truth. How many of you would be shook to know that Hitler wouldn't have been able to do what he had done if not from the help of the so-called elite Jews that participated in the extermination of their own people for the love of money and commerce? We're going to go there this afternoon. There's a lot of Jews that don't even got a clue. They're so bent and shook on what happened. 6 million Jews died throughout the Holocaust, but hell, they were living in Germany many years with no problem. All of a sudden, one is raised that's not even German, meaning Adolf Hitler, and was able to persuade the German people to go in a particular direction directed at the Jews that were present, the Jews that was powerless, though he was influenced and paid by the Jews of power. Let's go there. Let's go there. See, that's why they don't want the Nation of Islam or anyone dealing with Farrakhan to be heard. How do you explain that to your people? We contributed, meaning the Jews. How do they explain to their own people their contribution in the extermination of their own goddamn people? And you talking about we don't like Jews? I don't have a problem with a Jew. I barely even talk to Jews that I know. Not that I wouldn't, but I just don't really associate. I don't see that many Jews like that to even develop a dislike for them. How do you dislike somebody you don't know? You don't dislike something based on someone else's experience. You have to base it on your own experience if you are a self-guided human being or if you have any type of sense. See, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan doesn't teach hate. He doesn't teach us. You can't find not one iota in the Nation of Islam history that we were instructed to attack Jews and desecrate the synagogues. You never found that in the Nation of Islam teachings. You can't find it. That itself tells you we don't have a problem with Jewish people. And there are many Jews that know and accept that and respect that. There are many Jews that know exactly what we're talking about to be true. There are many of them that know that. Right? Let's go. Let's keep going. In 1460, when Jews were the masters of the nautical science in Portugal, that nation was importing 700 to 800 slaves yearly. 1460, Portugal was importing 700 to 800 slaves yearly. And where were the Jews? Right on deck. Right on deck. Purchasing the product that was coming off the ships, soaring from Africa, or wherever the hell they got them from. We know they were uprooted out of Africa. See? And the white man didn't really have no contact with slaves. When I say the white man, I'm talking about the European or the American white man, so to speak. All this was being done before he had even had any contact with the slaves. The Jews knew of the importance and the investment that they were making in regards to the slaves, right? The success of these medieval merchants were enhanced by their supreme logistics abilities. They spoke Arabic, they spoke Persian, they spoke Roman, they spoke Frankish, Spanish, and Slovakian, and display a business acumen far in advance of the times. Let me read that again. And if you want to know, if you're just getting on board, and if you want to know where we coming from, the secret relationship between blacks and Jews, book 1 of the Nation of Islam. This is where we coming from. If you want to know the secret relationship between blacks and Jews, book 1, volume 1. The success of these medieval merchants was enhanced by their supreme logistics abilities. They spoke they spoke Arabic, Persian, Roman, Frankish, Spanish, and Slovak, and displayed a business acumen far in advance of times at that particular time. And this is why they are referred to as medieval merchants. They were diverse. We're talking about the Jews of that day, along with the Spaniards or the Spanish that were actually selling these slaves, right? The Jews practice or participation in the slave trade, particularly their trafficking in non-Jewish slaves, and cited the moral indignation of Europe's general population. At some point, even the Europeans didn't even want to have anything else to do with it. At some point, right? The Europeans reacted by taxing activity. The explosion of Jews by European governments was not unusual, right? With most of the complaints centered around economic exploitations, monopolizing or sharp practice. So the Europeans decided that to try and discourage those Jews that were actually profiting and selling their merchant, which was slavery, they began to tax them, which was slaves. The secret relationship between blacks and Jews. See, that's why the Honorable Minister Farrakhan and anybody in the Nation of Islam or outside the Nation of Islam, if you begin to speak this kind of language, you will be a target by the so-called Jewish elite, the Anti-Defamation League, the JDL, the Jewish Defense League. And I find it very interesting. How in the world did the Anti-Defamation League, the ADL, become a civil rights group? And nowadays, one of the most strongest and the most powerful civil rights groups in America, yet they don't lend an ear to the violation of the civil rights of black people in America, but they say they are a group that represents civil rights for all people. Hold on, stay there, hang in there with me if you can. Hold on for a minute. See, because what we're getting down to is the bottom line, right? Why Farrakhan, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, and the Nation of Islam is labeled anti-Semitics or anti-Semite, or a group that hates Jewish people, yet there's no history, no proven fact that we actually hate Jews, or we've done anything physically to desecrate synagogues or attack Jewish people physically. We have not done such a thing. So why are they labeling us that? This is why. We are stepping up to the plate. This book was presented or printed in 1991, 28 years ago. You all heard the Honorable Minister Farrakhan call the Jewish leaders out for a showdown. Call them up front. Your scholars go back to back with our scholars. And if you can prove that the Nation of Islam is an actual hate group that hate Jewish people, then we take it from there. But yet, no, they have not responded, because they know to respond to such a challenge will not only expose them, but expose Israel for the medieval practices they have been practicing against the Palestinian people. Right? So they don't want to go there, as we already know that. Right? Throughout the history, listen good, we want to make sure that our people are well aware, on point with what we present in our defense of our leader, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, and the Nation of Islam. We're not doing this based on emotions and psychological disturbance, like we're angry. So because we're angry, we want to go. No, that's not what this is about. Even some of our people, a great proportion of our people, despise the Nation of Islam and the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. They even label us as anti-Semites and don't even know what the hell an anti-Semite is. It's a damn shame. How you going to call somebody something that you don't even know what the hell it is? And why the term is even used? Because it's only used against anyone that come at the so-called Jewish leaders of today. Right? Over the next century, the center of Jewish development moved into the Western Hemisphere. That's where you and I are at, right? Where land and commercial opportunities provided the incentives for immigrants. That's right here in America. The open and ungoverned territory and the docile and vulnerable indigenous population, the Indians. The docile and vulnerable indigenous population, the Indians, were an irresistible attraction to the Maglan race. They acquired great wealth in the Caribbeans. You see how these people prey on innocent people who have lived centuries, meaning the indigenous people, the Mexican people. They are indigenous people. They are Indian people. In reality, go check the history. But now they're taking the Mexican people and making you think that they're savages. When in reality, it was the savages that swindled the Mexican people out of the land that is rightfully theirs right here in America. And because of Mexico's internal problems, it has been easy to manipulate. Like all of these foreign countries. In Venezuela now, America is looking to attack Venezuela now. So they create internal gripe and internal beef, which makes it much more easy to manipulate and overthrow. This is a historical practice of these medieval peoples. Huh? Yes, we're talking about the secret relationship between blacks and Jews. The reason why it's a secret, because they don't want you to know how filthy they is in all of their affairs, the Jewish people. And I'm not talking about, once again, the little Jew that has no relevance. I'm talking about those with the power and the influence, those who manipulate their own people. Those are the Jews that we're referring to. We want to set the record straight, because you're quick to charge us with hate teachers as opposed to listening with a keen ear of what we're talking about. We have to defend our nation. We have to defend the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, not with emotions, but with actual facts. And that's all I'm doing. I'm just reading a portion of this. This actually is just the beginning of the book. I haven't got no way into the middle and won't go that far with this, because we'll be here all night. You don't got all night, and I damn sure don't got all night to do this with you. But I have to set the base of what our goal is on the Let Us Make Man program at this point, time, and hour, which is to defend the Honorable Minister Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam against onslaughts and attacks from various groups of people all across the globe. All across the globe. That's what we're doing here. So we on the same page and we can understand each other, right? South America enterprises and eventually moved into the American Northeast, which became the economical focal point. It started with the forced explosions of the Jews from the Spanish Empire, and with the early explorer and discoverer of America, you call Christopher Columbus. I was waiting to get to that part because I want to tell you what they scholars said, not ours, about the man you refer to as Christopher Columbus. We want to tell you what they scholars said. On August the 2nd, 1492, more than 300,000 Jews were expelled from Spain. On August 2nd, 1492, more than 300,000 Jews were expelled from Spain. From Spain. Let me stop there for 1 second. For black people in America, particularly in America, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us in 1934 on up, we must take our children out of their killing fields. meaning they public school systems. The Nation of Islam set up school opportunities in Muhammad's University by Mother Claire Muhammad. But for some apparent reason, our people are so in denial that we just refuse to accept our own and do for self. Because from the time that we got here, they've been giving us American history. They told you this white man who was of Italian descent by the name of Christopher Columbus discovered America. Is that right? Absolutely. If you grew up in the public school system like I did, then you should have came across that history, right? But listen to what the Jewish scholars wrote, not what the Nation of Islam wrote. Remember, this is not our writings. These are writings and quotes from their scholars. So they got to debate with their own scholars. Rather it's true or false, that's not our responsibility. That's their responsibility to debate with their own scholars. Rather what is being said is true or false. Right? This is interesting, family. Columbus the Jew. You'll find this on page 14 in the book titled Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, Volume 1. A few scholars, including Roth, presented strong evidence that Columbus himself, a Jew, that Columbus was himself a Jew. He hid his Jewishness, they say, because no Spanish Jew could ever have expected aid from the king and queen of Spain. Let me read that again. Columbus the Jew. A few scholars, including Roth, presented strong evidence that Columbus was himself a Jew. He hid his Jewishness, they say, because no Spanish Jew could ever have expected aid from the king and queen of Spain. So the man you call Christopher Columbus to be known as an Italian was actually a Jew himself. Because Spain had already expelled 300,000 Jews. So that tells you Spain had nothing to do or wanted nothing to do with the Jews that were already living in Spain. Right? They don't call the Spanish anti-Semitics, anti-Semite in Spain. They know the relationship. I'm talking about the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, the JDL, the Jewish Defense League, and all these so-called Jewish organizations that say they represent Jews. They know the history. So they're not going to come at those folks. But not only that, those folks are not even exposing the true history themselves about what actually happened during the transatlantic slave trade. Let's keep going for a second. I'm almost done. Let's keep going for a second because we want to deal with this. Right? He hid his Jewishness, they said. As well, Spain, the explorer, claimed to be an Italian, meaning Columbus. An Italian Catholic, the Levitan author of Jews in America, or the Levitan. Let's get it right. The Levitan, author of Jews in America, Life, found the first reference in Columbus' Jewishness in print in a diplomatic document dated 58 years after the discoverer's death. 58 years after the death of Columbus, right? The Tina Levidian, Tina Levidian, author of Jews in American Life. These are Jewish scholars' writings. This lady said 58 years after the death of Christopher Columbus, they discovered that he was truly a Jew. He was never Italian. But he was able to persuade, due to his complexion and his physical makeup, that he was Italian. See? But he never was an Italian. He was always Jewish. Christopher Columbus. The French ambassador in Spain, she refers to Columbus, the Jew. Furthermore, she states, who is she? The French ambassador, she states, from him we learn that Cristobal Colon, who never called himself Christopher Columbus and never spoke or wrote Italian, was the son of Susanna Fontarosa. Good God Almighty. Cristobal Colon, who never called himself Italian, Christopher Columbus, and never spoke or wrote Italian. Bear with me, because I want to make sure I'm reading this right? And if you want to read it yourself, get yourself a copy of Secret Relationships Between Blacks and Jews, Book 1, and go to page 15 and walk right through it and get your own understanding. You don't have to bear with mine. I'm just laying the base of how we intend on defending the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam on the Let Us Make Man program. That's what we doing, right? So, he was the son of Susanna Fontarosa, right? Also spelled Fontarosa, same thing. And Domingo Colon of Pontevedra. We're getting a little Spanish now, so bear with me, because I got to try to say it the way I'm seeing it. I'm not trying to impress you. Hell, I'm struggling with this, because I want to lay it out the right way, so bear with your little brother. I'm not trying to impress you with no language. I speak English, set the record straight, but I got to say it the way it is written, right? Pontevedra was Spain, where those bearing such surnames were Jews, some of whom had been brought before the Spain in questions. Letters written by him to strangers have the customary X at the top to indicate the faith of the writer. But of the 13 letters written to his son, only one bears an X. And that letter was meant to be shown to the King of Spain. The others have, in the place of the X, a sign that looks like the Hebrew characters B and H. Initials used by religious Jews, meaning in Hebrew, with the help of God. With the help of God. This is all that Christopher Columbus actually done to persuade the Spaniards to support his so-called exhibition out into Africa to get this product we call slaves. Harry L. Golden and Martin Rywell, author of Jews in American History, their contribution at the United States of America are quite insistent about the Jewishness of Columbus. Now you're getting down to the nitty gritty. See? So you've been already told by Malcolm and all of us who have quoted it, you've been robbed, hoodwinked, bamboozled, etc., etc., etc. But history constantly proves those factors. Because now we're dealing with the writings of Jewish scholars. See? So the beef wouldn't really be with the Nation of Islam or members of the Nation of Islam, you would think. It would have to be with those who wrote this stuff, which was actually Jewish writers, Jewish leaders, etc., etc. These are the people who laid this stuff out, as we can see it, right? The site where Fernando Columbus' son was, that his father were of the blood of royal of Jerusalem. See? This is the language that is being used by writers from Jewish scholars. So when we say to you that these books are composed by writers and historians from the Jewish scholarship, then there you go. But this is information they don't want you to be exposed to. They don't want you to know how much they profited off of the slave trade from the very beginning. If the Jews was involved with it at 1420, and the first settlement of slaves didn't hit America to win, 1555, if I'm correct, you tell me how much they were able to make and profit off of the slave trades before they got here, not counting what they made after the fact in the South, in the cotton fields, in the tobacco fields, right? Half of the Caucasians in America wasn't that damn intelligent. They needed the wisdom that the Jews had in order to maintain and control their slaves. Slaves that they had to buy and force into servitude. You follow me? As we go on in this particular history, dealing with the secret relationship between blacks and Jews, right? If you, by any chance, once again, I'm promoting this book because it's something that you should have in your library. If you intend on defending the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam, then this is something that you should have in your library. One of the many books that has been put out to help us in our understanding as we strive for separation. But because it's clear, separation is the only solution for black people in America and all over the world, right? Why would you continue to fight to be somewhere where you're not even wanted? I'm just simply saying, see, our goal is to say that we will defend the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and his work because he stands in defense for us. He represents us, the lost found Muslims here in the wilderness of North America. Those who are descendants from the same slaves that we're talking about. In Columbus' words, for whom all is done, David, the most prudent king, was first a shepherd and afterwards chosen king of Jerusalem. And I am a servant of that same Lord who raised him to such dignity. One Jewish author insists that all existing portraits of the discovery gave him a Jewish cast of countenance. Another claimed that a certain soft-heartedness in Columbus is a Jewish a Jewish trait. His lineage also pointed to Jewish roots. His mother's maiden name was Susanna Fontarosa, daughter of Jacob, granddaughter of Abraham, and a Jewish. His father, Domingo Colin, was a map seller. Did not Columbus write the king of Spain that his ancestors was interested in maps? Why is this so important? Why? Because this information that we share is the information that Jews don't want the world to know. How they manipulated their slave trade and sponsored and supported it. So if anybody owed the slaves, it would be the Spaniards and the Jews, wherever the hell they at. America must pay for the labor that was forced on our people for over 300 years. America owes us that. But the Jews owe us their life for their contribution and their influence of the slave trade. And this is why it's titled A Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. Because don't nobody want to talk about that. Not even majority of the black people you know. They don't want to talk about that. You get to talking about slavery? Negro, I don't want to hear that. Because many of our people done settled down for the mistreatment of our ancestors, our grandmothers and grandfathers who weathered the storm, stayed alive long enough to produce a seed and prayed to whatever God they prayed to, that seed would one day grow to be a great seed. That's you and I. They're turning over in their graves now, knowing how we are destroying each other the way we are here in the wilderness of North America, taking each other's lives senselessly while our open enemy lays back and enjoy the show. That's why Farrakhan is the most hated now. And anybody that speaks like Farrakhan or stands up like Farrakhan will be the most hated right now. Not only by the Jews, by anybody that's profiting off the ignorance of the people. This is part 1. Join us this Sunday for part 2 of this short mini-series. Because I can go on and on and on, but there's some things that I want to share that's going to come out of part 2. We're going to talk about the so-called hatred that the Jews claim the Nation of Islam has. And they know who the great haters of Jews are in America, but they support that. We're going to tell you why. Why it's important that you steadfast. Hold on to your little brother and sister. Support the Final Call newspaper when you see your brothers out there. That's how important it is, because it's inspiration that you provide to keep us out there, to strengthen our faith in our people, that one day soon that we'll be a separate and great people like we were before we were robbed of our nature, our culture, or our God. We will return to our greatness. We got a lot of work to do. And this government will continue to influence us to the left, making you think that their worldly things are what we should be seeking, as opposed to seeking in the wisdom of God that will allow us to separate from our open enemies and do for self. So you asked me, do the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam hate Jews or Jewish people? I beg to differ with that. Myself personally, you may have your own opinion based upon whatever you may have heard throughout your experience in the Nation of Islam. But I'll tell you this, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan does not teach hate. He's never taught hate. He has been stern and direct with whatever he had to say, but it's not hate. He speaks the truth regardless to the circumstance. He teaches us to speak the truth regardless to the circumstance. And oftentimes when you speak the truth, you're cast out. Try that in your own house. Sit back and tell one of your family members the damn truth and see what comes out of that. See if you're going to be loved, especially when you know it's not going to be something that they want to hear. And that's just the way it goes when you begin to speak the truth. Jesus told the disciples that governments will turn against you for my name's sake. Once you speak what I speak, men will seek to kill you for this here, speaking the truth. We can go on and on and on, family, with this, but I'm going to bring this to a close. Because what we wanted to do is just give you a general idea of what we hold in this great book, The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, Volume 1. And I haven't even really touched the surface of the book. That's how great the book is. I just read the basic fundamentals of the first few pages of the book. I would advise you to purchase your own copy, that you can learn what's really going on in our society and how we as a people got where we are. And it's not just the Caucasian in America. There were many that played a role, and that's why the hatred for black people is so astronomical by various nations and groups of people who look down on us and would love to treat us like garbage if they can get away with it. Because this is something that they read about. This is something that they saw. This is something they see in their museums, in their countries. You're clueless to really know. I thank you for listening. Join us this Sunday. If you are interested in part 2, which will close out this mini-series with something that you won't even believe on your own. The power and the influence that the influential Jew has all over the world. And why they won't come at certain groups and organizations that they know hate Jews to the death, that they know that have attacked synagogues, sprayed on synagogues. They know we're going to expose all of that to you, who these people are, and challenge the Jewish people or the leaders of the Jewish community as they self-proclaim themselves to be the JDL, the Jewish Defense League, the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League. We're going to challenge them to call out the true haters of Jews and leave Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam the hell alone. Thank you for listening. I'll leave you as I came before you. And the nation, greedy words of peace and paradise. Assalamu alaikum. Hotep peace.